Welcome to week 7 of the i-eXam. I shouldn't say week 7, that dates it right. Episode 7, man. Episode 7. The 7th installment of the i-eXam. We live and direct. Don't need no mic check.
Well, we did do a mic check.
We did do a mic check. That absolutely happened. You're right. But here we are, man. We here. Week 7, ready to keep it moving, man.
I thought you just said we weren't going to call it week 7.
You're right. Episode 7. I like how you hold me accountable for all that stuff. You don't let me get away with none of that foolishness. I love it, girl. You make me better. You make me better. In any case, episode 7, we all the way here. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all joining us here. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. You can like us and subscribe us on what is it? iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud. We everywhere. You ain't never.
We're on Spotify now.
Oh shoot, we fancy, huh?
Yeah.
We fancy, huh? Okay, we made it though. We made it.
We ain't make it.
You right. We ain't make it. We still trying to make it, man.
I mean, I guess I don't really do it to make
Matter of fact, we about to we making moves because we about to partner up with UMR Radio. You can find them at umrradio.com. Find them on the TuneIn app every Monday at 5:15 p.m. They'll be streaming the i-eXam throughout the day. They'll be pumping out the word of the day. If you're listening to this on umrradio.com, we probably recorded this like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
But that don't matter.
It don't matter because we here. We live. We all the way live.
All that matters is when you're enjoying it. So enjoy it.
Whenever you hear it, you enjoying it, man.
Because you deserve it.
Oh, we going now.
Sorry.
Praise and worship. Oh, well, there we go, man. And
we also on tune in, right?
We also on tune in. We everywhere. We in platform. But in any case, man, I think we ought to get this thing a go. You ready?
I've been ready.
You've been ready. If you stage ready, you ain't got to get ready. So last week we had dropped this one quote which is real dope, and if there was ever anything that needed to be added to the Bible, it might be this real quick, right? What was the quote? You remember the quote, baby? I got the quote.
No.
I got the quote.
I remember the gist of the quote.
I got the quote. Here go the quote right here. And if you ain't in a child rearing stage yet, pay attention anyway, because you're gonna need this information.
We're dropping drops of gold.
We dropping drops of gold. Most people call them gems, but I don't know what a gold drop is. But
it's a new thing. That's
it's
how
a
fancy
new
it
thing.
is.
We from the future. All right, here we go. Here the quote. Y'all ready? Listen. Write this down. You got your pen out? Your pad? I'll give you a moment.
Or just open your phone.
Open up the note app on your phone.
Or you could just record on rewind.
That's true. You can absolutely do that.
So go ahead. What's the quote?
All right, here we go. I'm ready. We gonna drop this right now. We gonna drop this gem right now. If you raise your kids, you can spoil your grandkids. But if you spoil your kids, you'll have to raise your grandkids.
What?
Ooh, man, go ahead.
Turn to your neighbor. Say neighbor.
Neighbor.
If you spoil your kids.
If you spoil them kids,
you will have to raise your grandchildren.
You're going to have to raise them grandchildren.
I ain't trying to raise your children.
Ain't trying to raise your children. Am I still talking to my neighbor right now?
Yes.
Right.
I already raised your little behind.
Already raised your little behind.
Don't want to raise your
I spoiled you. That's why we got in that place in the first place. Anyway, we re-dropped that gem because we've been reflecting for the past few days, and we're concerned that we might be raising our kids too rich.
I don't know what that is, but yeah.
No, that's not to say that we ourselves are rich, but just that our kids might be under the false impression that
they are rich.
Yeah. And it's different. Like my kids be asking for stuff.
Like shrimp.
What?
No, my kids asked to go to Benihana's so they can eat shrimp.
They don't ask for Benihana's.
They asked for samurai, but I was trying to be courteous to those
who don't know what samurai is.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Oh, what's up, Amber? How you doing? Hey, family.
Hey,
I see you, girl. I see you. Sorry about that. We on Instagram Live. We trying to make sure our audience know we appreciate them all the way. Way better. I hit the button. We waved at her.
Oh, you waved in the button. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I hit the button. And we could wave at her in person too, right there. That's for real.
So yeah, they always be asking to go to Benihana's or Samurai because, you know, they bougie. And I don't know where they got that from because I ain't got money like that.
That's not bougie. That's hood rich. That's hood rich. But
they don't know what hood rich is.
You right. They don't. They about to find out real quick.
I'm
But
about to make a meat ketchup sandwich.
you ain't had a ketchup sandwich a day in your life, though.
I don't, but yeah, move on.
Okay. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. If we sit here and pretend that maybe our kids don't have the sense of entitlement, we lying to ourselves and we lying to everybody listening to the sound of our voices. Right
Oh no, my kids are definitely entitled.
And that's scary as heck. Like I thought,
maybe they know something we don't know.
Oh snap! Our kids be begging in the prophetic.
Yeah.
Oh
in
snap!
In the prophetic.
Oh snap! That's for
I
real.
receive it
In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name, I receive that prophetic begging y'all doing. Y'all doing. Oh man, I took the kids to the zoo today, and it was so amusing how many things they found a way to ask for. Like, RJ asked when we passed the rhino, he was like, "Hey Dad, can I feed the rhino?" And I was like, "Nah, we not doing that because
that's gross." What?
I tried to be practical. I tried to explain to him budgeting and stuff. I was like, "Yo, we going out of town next week, and I gotta save money, so this is pretty much it." Like,
and it's gross, so no.
but the funny thing is the way he asked. He said, "Daddy, do I deserve to feed the rhinos?"
Do I deserve to feed them?
But I can appreciate that because he understands that we not rich enough to do everything just because you feel like doing it, that you have to like earn it.
Is that what it is, or is it just that you've always told him like, oh, you don't earn, like, no, don't nobody owe you nothing, pretty much, and
I'm trying.
I ain't gonna take you. I don't think he understands that we are not rich enough to be able to do that, so he has to earn it. He don't get that.
Man, I don't know if y'all ever seen Everybody Hates Chris, but being Julius, the dude that Terry Crews plays and Everybody Hates plays, the dude that Terry Crews plays and Everybody Hates Chris. That's a life goal for me.
To have 2 jobs?
No, not that part. Just like,
hey, put your batteries in the freezer.
Cut that lava lamp off, man. That's 37 cents worth of electricity.
I
want to do that. I want to do that, and I want to impart that upon my children. I want them I want my children to be as wealthy as can be one day, but still be frugal. Like that's my goal. And frugal in their own life. I want them to be generous in other areas. I want them to be philanthropists and all that stuff. But right now, my real life concern is that I'm raising my children too rich.
Yes. So today, like, if you're in Florida, starts the tax-free week.
Tax-free week.
So we went out and was buying uniforms and stuff like that because, my kids wear uniforms, so we have to buy uniforms. They don't get to buy school clothes. However, I am really upset that I'm on the opposite end of that deal. Like, I remember being able to buy school clothes, and now I'm the one who got to pay for it. Yeah. And I said all that to just say that y'all can keep it. I don't want it.
It's a whole lot of things they don't warn you about parenting.
It's terrible.
Well, people warn you, but you don't listen.
At all.
Because I used to get hyped about school shopping when I was the student.
Yeah, because I got a bunch of new stuff.
Yeah, man. I remember my mom had a policy. I got 2 new pairs of shoes every school year. One of them had to be black, one of them had to be white that covered all the bases. That was exciting for me. I wasn't no sneakerhead. Every year I got a pair of black shoes and a pair of white shoes. And that was that, that was exciting for me. Now these kids talking about can I get some shoes? And I'm like, what in the world do you need shoes for? Like,
I mean, to be fair, our kids don't really care that much about their shoes. They will
still asking for them. They don't care about name brands.
They don't care about name brands.
They'll be perfectly fine in Ross picking out their shoes.
Yes, it's actually fun for them.
And that's dope.
Because they can go ham. They can do whatever they want.
Head to the word. The Bible says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." So my kids, they got a large inheritance coming.
Yes.
Because RJ will rock the Jesus out of some Skechers, man.
Skechers are not cheap though.
You right.
They are expensive, especially the ones that light up and stuff.
As far as reputation goes, they not supposed to be the swaggy sneakers, but he be rocking them things.
He can't wear swaggy sneakers because he got my feet. Like, I have wide feet, so like I wear Jordans, but they hurt. I have to sacrifice some stuff. It's like being a woman. Like I am a woman, but when you wear heels, it's a sacrifice because they hurt, and it's the same thing with my Jordans.
So my question to you is, why would you continue to do that to yourself, knowing that like you're gonna be in pain in heels and you're gonna be in pain in sneakers? It sounds like eventually you gotta make some kind of life decision.
Because I don't know.
See now
because at one point the sneakers were my god.
Okay.
And now they are not, but I'm not burning them on the altar.
You gotta bring them to the altar.
They're in my closet.
Bring them sneakers to the altar. Matter of fact, we gonna box up them sneakers and take them to church on Sunday.
What?
We gonna bring them to the altar.
No, we're not.
Altar call. I don't even care what's happening.
No, we're not.
Oh, I need to pray with some people. You just gonna walk up there with that box of sneakers and put them on the altar.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, man.
Move on.
That's how it goes.
So yeah, our kids are kind of spoiled.
I can't decide if they spoiled or not.
But they're not bad kids. They're just entitled kids, which makes them bad. So moving on. Okay. Apparently, in the Bible, it says that those who are given children are being given a reward from God.
Given a reward.
So we are being rewarded for being awesome people. High five.
And Jesus, like that. It says that children are like a quiver full of arrows for a young man. And I'm just counting down to the day where I get to launch my last arrow into the horizon.
And then your quiver will be empty.
I'm waiting for that empty quiver in Jesus' name. July 16th, 2032, I'm planning a mega, super duper birthday bash for my youngest 18th birthday party. I want to let all of you guys know that you are all cordially invited.
We're
to
inviting
the festivities.
MTV.
Yeah,
my
man.
super sweet 18.
All of y'all are invited. Everybody except for the birthday girl, because it's not about her. It's not. It's about us. It's about our freedom. It's about us fighting a good fight.
You want to know something? She got uniforms today. So there you go.
And she got bougie. That was the most indignant 4-year-old I've ever seen in my entire life.
I am not wearing those.
Yes, we picked out the uniform because I'm not wearing that.
Oh, okay. No. Okay, that's cute. You think you care?
So, I believe her though. I believe her. When she said she wasn't wearing it, I believe that's gonna be a fight.
That's cute that she thinks she got a choice.
Okay.
Did you see that one of my really favorite pastors, one of them, because I got a lot.
Ooh.
But he's up in there in the top 10. John Gray, that he went to the White House.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Well, can you explain to everybody like why he went and what was going on with that?
Okay. So the White House, the head of the executive branch of the United States government, had a meeting this past week or this current week discussing. Well, they invited a lot of inner city pastors, and for some, I don't know at what point in American history inner city became code word for black, but apparently it is now. They invited a bunch of black pastors to discuss prison reform. Which, by the way, if we could put a pin in that, that's an interesting tactic to take. We're talking about inviting black pastors to discuss prison reform. It's really odd to suggest that most black pastors are qualified to discuss prison reform. I don't understand what the information is.
But I don't think it was about prison reform. It's about having the churches help out to ensure that when prisoners are released, that they have a better chance of not going back.
Okay. I can respect that.
So it wasn't just about like a prison reform, like the political way. It was more about like how do we help individuals when they are released from prison to ensure that they are, doing what they need to do and provided the opportunities to make sure that they do not end up back in jail.
I'm glad there's two of us hosting the show because I didn't even see that angle right there. But there you go. There you have it. That's the purpose.
So that's
of
what the church was there for.
So they invited all of the quote, end quote, air quote, inner city, aka black pastors, to meet with the President of the United States to discuss prison reform. And a few of these pastors turned up, but there was one that really grabbed some headlines because Pastor John Gray out of Relentless Church in Greenville, South Carolina, is really doing big things. He has a reality show on the Oprah Winfrey Network. He's really making waves. This dude we followed. I met him. He's a great man of God and everything. But he showed up at this meeting, and it really caught a lot of people off guard. It kind of disappointed some people, and we're going to talk about our perspective on that right after this word from our sponsor. And this week's message has been brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. There's no real reason other than the fact that I am staring at a bag of Sour Patch Kids.
And
they didn't pay me for this. We own the Sour Patch Kids. Yeah, younger than talked about it before. It's a real life Sour Patch Kid. But she's really behaving herself right now, letting us record this episode from
like,
from RFX Studios, which happen to be located in Casa de Ferguson. That's today's sponsor. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Sour Patch Kids, for the sponsorship you didn't really provide.
But we're willing to take it if you would like to sponsor us.
Absolutely. In Jesus' name, we receive it.
We
receive it.
I thought Sour Patch Kids were bigger than that, though. They're like miniature kids now.
I don't really...
Are they Sour Patch toddlers?
That's really morbid when you put it like
that. Why is it? How is toddler more morbid than kids?
Because toddler is way more personal than kid. Like a kid is a baby goat. Toddler, that's somebody that you birth.
Oh sure, because everybody thinks baby goat when you say kid, right?
I do.
Well, you're different. You are definitely the exception, not the rule.
You don't know that.
I live with you. Yes, I do, sir. What?
You know what? Whatever. Anyway.
Welcome back. I'm glad.
Welcome back.
I'm glad you tuned in through our break. And so we were talking about prison reform and John Gray, and he was at the White House, and how people were disappointed and upset about that, and that's what he ended.
So what I appreciate about that particular situation is that Pastor John Gray recognized that the optics of that situation would rub a lot of people the wrong way. He tried to jump ahead of the curveball. He went on Instagram, recorded. Matter of fact, he addressed his congregation at Relentless Church in Greenville, South Carolina, about the issue, and he went on Instagram and let people know that he was really torn about going. He doesn't agree with all the policies of the Trump administration, but he quoted Dr. Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., when he said that you cannot influence a table at which you are not seated. And ooh, snap your fingers for that one right there. Yeah, put your capris on, get your head wrap on, man. You're a revolutionary now. But he talked about, yeah, man, that hair wrap on though. So he talked about how he just wanted to be there because he wanted to advocate for people who deserved or needed a second chance that they weren't really being granted. What's up, Reek? I see you, boy. How you doing? In any case, he talked about how he was really there advocating on behalf of other people, and his wife even warned him like there was nothing to gain from it. But
she told him not to go.
She told him not to go, and he a bold man because if Miss Jessica right here tell me not to go somewhere, I'm not going because she got some things that I need, and I can't really, I can't mess up the house money like that. But in any case, what I'm trying to tell you guys is that he seemed to have sound logic behind why he went, but he still caught a bunch of flack. I saw other pastors kind of flaying him online, like, how could you play footsies with the empire? How could you do that? And a lot of people talking about they were disappointed. He even went on CNN and sat with Don Lemon, and Don Lemon kind of gave him a third degree. I'm like, yo, Negro, what is you doing? Why you doing? You know, like, there's an unspoken rule. We don't even call that man by his name. And then on top of that, Pastor John Gray went to the meeting and he prayed for Trump, which is an interesting to have a problem with. It's an interesting thing to have a problem with because this is what we called to do. Not only pray for authority, but pray for everybody, pray for enemies and everything.
I mean, to me, what he did was he was walking in what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, we not always going to be liked for what we believe, and it's not easy being a Christian. We're supposed to be persecuted. Like, it says that we will be persecuted for believing what we believe. And he stood on his faith, and he had a conversation with God.
But here's how we're going to do this real quick. I'm going to paint you a hypothetical. Right now, you open up your email. Right now. Somebody hit up Jessica at rfxmovement.com. Whatever email is, I forgot, right? And then you see that it is the president's personal assistant inviting you to the White House to speak about...
it's a scam. Why would he email me? I'm nobody.
I don't know. You think you somebody, girl. You somebody
I mean,
fine,
I'm
too.
somebody, but
somebody
I'm not
fine.
nobody to that man.
You somebody fine, too. Don't say you nobody to that man. But he sit there and hit the DM trying to talk about grabbing you, but never mind.
Oh, my God. Continue with your hypothetical, sir.
So you get that email right now, and then you feel that he's talking something that you can really speak to. He's talking to you about children's mental health issues, right?
Okay.
And about advocating for children who might be caught up in the system, some area that you might be kind of knowledgeable in. Do you take that meeting with the President of the United States, or do you decline that invitation based upon who's occupying that office at the moment?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's you have to decide what is the bigger purpose. You can get more things done by possibly having that meeting rather than being petty because you don't like what he's done.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna pass up an opportunity to possibly make life-changing changes. That doesn't make sense. Life-changing changes. So I'm gonna pass up the opportunity to make a difference because I don't like the man. At the end of the day, he still has the power to make change, though.
So here's the
and maybe I might be that one person who opens that door for him, or the light bulb might come on.
So if you would allow me to play devil's advocate for just a moment here, the problem is that there's been a few of these meetings that don't really seem to have shown any results, and that the president of the United States seems to be seeking photo ops in some of these situations, where he'll invite people under one premise, they'll have a conversation, take some pictures, and that's the end of that. Where people have ultimately lent their credibility to somebody who many people in this country feel doesn't deserve that audience or that credibility.
Okay, but let's look at it this way. So yes, he lended his credibility. However, he's now out going around talking. Everybody's talking about him, and he's able to speak on why he was there. He's able to bring voice to that topic.
Yeah.
When nobody was really talking about it.
Well, I don't know about that. Plenty of people were talking about it.
I mean, I'm not saying nobody was talking about it, but they weren't talking about it like today. Right now on CNN, they were talking about it. He had an interview with Don Lemon because he was there. And Don Lemon asked him why he was there. And he was able to say, I went because I wanted to provide a voice for those who don't have a voice.
Yeah.
And he was able to say that on CNN because he went to meet with Donald Trump.
Yeah. I guess the most interesting thing about this whole situation is somebody that many people had agreed was a solid dude. Like, I know there are some people who weren't the biggest John Gray fans in the world, whether that be because he sat up under Pastor Joel Osteen for a few years, whether that be because they don't like big brand name, if you will, pastors in general. But for the most part, John Gray was a pretty solid dude with a good word out of him for the most part. And it seems that he kind of burned a lot of that goodwill with a lot of different people. And it's interesting how quickly people turn based upon something which is largely a matter of opinion.
I mean, it's interesting. I think he knew that was going to happen, which is why he went out and tried to fireproof some stuff.
I don't know if we've ever had anybody this toxic sitting in the Oval Office since the time we let that black dude in there.
Wait, what?
I'm being real. Before, the issue with President Obama seemed to be that he was black, which caught a lot of people off guard. They're like, oh snap, we really did this, huh?
Wait, how did it catch him off guard? He was black when he ran.
Yeah,
it's not like he got elected and turned black.
But at the same token, people were caught off guard by President Donald Trump's election. He was Donald Trump the whole time he ran. Sometimes there's certain things that people run as a gag until stuff gets real for real, you know?
Well, I think they expected Donald Trump to, man up, I guess, and finally take it serious, and he still...
That's a silly expectation.
I didn't say I expected that. I said I think that's what people expected.
Yeah, that's a real silly expectation.
That maybe actually sitting in those briefings, he would be able to understand the importance of his role rather than just the opportunity to do rallies, which I was confused why does he still do those?
Oh, he's campaigning for other people at this point.
But he wasn't. There was a point when nobody was campaigning, he was still doing rallies.
Yeah, I don't know why people. You like people
what?
But it's interesting to see how people's views of the President of the United States are able to influence our views of other people based upon their reactions to the president.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still Team John Gray because John Gray knew what he was getting into. His wife told him not to go. And he was like, look, I'm not doing this for people. I don't do what I do for people, for likes, for anything like that. He does it for kingdom.
Yeah,
and
I ain't Team John Gray. I'm Team Jesus.
I'm Team...
John Gray happened to be on Team Jesus. We play for the same team.
I'm saying...
You just clicked your tongue at me.
I did, because you are...
I'm what?
What I'm saying
say
is, he knew what he was doing. And he didn't care because he is not about what you think about him. He is about kingdom. And if you don't like it, then you ain't gotta like it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if, like he said, if you know his heart, you know he went there for good intentions. And if you want to get all caught up in how it looks, then you focus on the wrong things as it is.
Yeah, that's important right there. Because I'm not gonna lie, it kind of had me torn because I feel a certain way about the president of the United States. To be sure, to be certain, I absolutely have my opinions on that. But how much am I gonna let those opinions inform how I view other people based upon their reactions to that same individual? It's kind of like the same thing with the NFL thing going on. I haven't watched NFL in like over a year at this point, except for the Super Bowl. I'm not gonna lie, I cheated, but I haven't watched a single NFL down other than that. And am I going to sit there and judge other people who are still watching the NFL? No.
To each his own.
Exactly. And we kind of got to be the same way because John Gray was even vocally adamant about the fact he didn't support every position of the Trump administration, but he went there not to as a show of support for that administration, but to give voice to people he felt didn't have a voice.
And he didn't even want pictures taken.
Yeah, he said that.
He should have known that was going to happen. But
yeah, man, you can't.
I mean, at the end of the day, people it wraps up that people get butthurt about dumb things. Like everybody's getting butthurt about everything. Like,
okay, that's an interesting take right there. Can you elaborate on that? When you say people get butthurt about dumb things,
like they get all up in arms because, oh my gosh, how could you go there? How could you, like, instead of doing the research and doing the due diligence to understand why he was there, to read why he said he was going, to listen to his sermon and be able to verbally hear why he felt it was important to go. Like, if you ain't done all that, if you haven't prayed on it, then who are you to judge him? Yeah. So yeah, your butt hurt. That's like, people don't do the due diligence and they just have an opinion on something, and sometimes your opinion doesn't matter. Who cares?
You're right. It's interesting, especially when it comes to people in the church. This is something that affects people in church, people who claim Jesus in general, and people who don't claim Jesus, people who don't claim to be believers looking at the church. We are so quick with this heavy hammer of judgment that really says a lot more about us than it does the people that we're judging. Because the fact of the matter is, most, as far as I can discern from what I've studied, from what I've read, and I'm somebody who's read the Bible cover to cover a few times, most of the things we read in there are more about introspection than there are judgment. You know, so if the Bible tells us that something is done in sin, it's not for us to go around pointing out other people's sins so much as it is for us to recognize our own shortcomings. Yeah. So when we sit there and get really upset about the way that somebody else has handled a particular situation because it differs from our own opinion or our own approach, how we would have done something, I believe personally that the best response is to look at how we can better adjust our own line of thinking in that situation. Are we right to condemn anyone else, or is this a situation where we need to think about maybe my view right here is jaded? And I think that's a practice that we have to continually undergo. The whole point of this podcast, the i-eXam, is for us to check our perspective and see how it lines up with the Word of God.
Right now, our perspective is real heavy.
Man, you're right.
I didn't laugh enough today.
You're right. I think we went kind of heavy. Last week, you cried laughing on this podcast.
I know, it was hilarious. It's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Scotty Nick Cannon is hilarious.
But you know what? It's actually time for us to get a word from our next sponsor of the day. You got this one? I got this one.
Our next sponsor is from Skechers.
Skechers.
Light up.
It's the S.
Is that? Do they still do shoe commercials?
I don't know, but we got to stop picking like real brands because people get paid money for this, and we just sit here pulling stuff out of that. Let's do another sponsor of that.
Our sponsor today is bread flour.
Is bread flour?
You need it to make bread. It's actually a type of flour, though, guys. Like, for real. There's lots of different types of flour. Who knew? I know because I use different flours.
There's roses and twists.
No, not like that.
Why'd you just hit me again?
Sorry.
And I'm glad we got that on camera. Yeah, I want y'all to recognize this is a pattern.
No, but for there's bread flour, there's regular flour, there's self-rising flour, there's like cornmeal flour. That's not flour.
Yeah.
Welcome back, guys. That was our break. So spoiled kids, John Gray.
We did that. But I want to look at another thing that's kind of wrecking a whole lot of people, especially in today's climate, with the way that, especially when it pertains to evangelical Christians supporting the current administration. How in the world do we get here?
What?
Like, how do we get to the point where the people who, for the longest time, claim, oh, there's the moral majority and all this stuff, and this is a Christian nation. How do we get to the point where we are aggressively, or not we, there are factions of the church aggressively supporting, vocally and vehemently supporting an admitted adulterer, an admitted somebody who hasn't necessarily been the most honest, somebody who's an aggressive shark, a lot of things that are vehemently unbiblical, and we're now championing him as somebody that God has placed in this situation to save his church, which is an interesting take. How did we get here?
Well, first of all, two things. Who is this we that you speak of?
I'm talking about them.
Not we.
Not we. Not me.
Not me.
Not me. Matter of fact, can I put that on the record right now? I didn't. My name is Trey Ferguson.
Your name
That's what y'all
is
call
Trey.
me. That's not my real name. My name is Trey Ferguson. I don't support the majority of this nonsense.
And then the second thing is it's all because Adam and Eve.
All because of Adam and Eve.
Yes.
You want to elaborate on that? You want me to move on?
I mean, I can elaborate.
Okay, do that.
We were in the Garden of Eden. We had it all good.
Yeah.
Satan came, tempted Eve. She ate the fruit. We got kicked out. And boom, Donald Trump.
I feel like you skipped some steps in the middle of there, but I'll take.
Oh yeah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
Okay.
You know, Samuel, Kings.
I put it.
Boom, Donald Trump.
I like it. And okay, so if we look at this from a biblical standpoint, right? We get through the first 5 books of the Bible, and there's no real talk of kings for God's people at all.
They're busy trying to get out of Egypt and stuff. And
Okay.
get into the promised land.
Okay, you're right. We got all that through
And rules.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers,
Deuteronomy.
We getting all that. And then we finally make it into the promised land in Joshua, right? And then after Joshua is leading these people, we got the book of Judges, where there's a period, there's no real king, but there's people that God appoints for certain seasons to lead over these people. And then First Samuel brings this new motif, this new paradigm where all of a sudden God's chosen people in Israel decided they want a king like all of the nations surrounding them.
Well, that was their problem, because the reason they had judges was because they kept wanting to be like the other people, and God needed people to like bring them back in. Like, nah, you're not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to be above reproach.
Right, but if you look at that, right, when the people requested a king, God's initial response through the prophet Samuel was like, hey man, tell them this ain't really what they want, because if you get a king, this is what he's gonna do. He's gonna exploit you. He's gonna use you for his own personal gain. There's gonna be all sorts of corruption and everything. Like, you don't want a king. What we got right here is a good thing going on, where you get to live in communion and relationship with the Lord. Right, that's good. And then the people was like, nah, forget it. Whatever news you talk to Samuel, you can keep it. We want a king. And God was like, fine, that's what you want. That's what you get. And they get Saul, and he kind of flames out. They get David. He's dope. They get Solomon, who's dope, and it kind of tapers off, and then everything kind of falls off after that. And the lesson in that is that when we are free to choose to live with somebody who might not necessarily all the way align with God's will, when we choose to submit ourselves to that, all of a sudden we become corruptible in a different sense. We become, I don't know the right way to phrase this, but we become able to be molded.
You're susceptible.
Yeah, you're susceptible to different things.
But the people of Israel, they didn't become unequally yoked with somebody. Like, the king that was anointed was a believer. Like, God selected the king. Right,
God selected the king, but then there was also a bunch of people who came after that.
Well, that was their children and stuff.
Right. The
Bathshebas and all that stuff.
So now we got to look at the fact that Bathsheba was only able to happen because David jacked up and ran off in sin. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was because people chose to live under a king when God warned them against it. So we look back at the 2016 election, which was remarkably almost 2 years ago at this point, And people were saying that, the choices were both bad, and they chose something that they believe would steer the country in the right direction. That's so wild that people act like it was helpless and never. Like, no, this is a democratic republic that we live in. We put those choices in place. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but people don't usually pay attention until the end.
But whose fault is that? There was 17. There was 17 candidates in the Republican field alone. There was 3 in the Democratic field for the most part of that race.
Well, they got caught up watching The Apprentice during the Republican.
At the same token, it's so crazy how we can sit there in supposedly a society in which we get to choose all these things in the representation, and then all of a sudden say that, God placed them there. No, you did.
And technically, you didn't, because Hillary had more votes. But I'm just saying, numbers, they don't really lie. But
yeah, and that's a true story.
But then people decided that some other states had more number weight than real numbers.
So the funny thing to me here is, we started out this episode talking about the danger of spoiling your children.
In America, we spoiled, y'all.
Yeah, we absolutely spoiled, because really, when we talk about spoiling your children, it's attributing too much worth to what your children want.
And what happens is they don't appreciate how you get that stuff, and then they don't appreciate what they have, and then they mess up.
Absolutely, and
because they don't understand the hard work and the ethics that goes into getting to that level.
Spoiling your kids is absolutely a product of you giving them too much of a say in things that you're more knowledgeable in them. Spoiling your kid, like if you give your kid candy 4-5 times a day because they ask for it, they don't recognize the real danger of cavities and things like that, obesity, diabetes, and everything like that. Your job is to protect them from that. And if you look at 1 Samuel, God eventually his people were like, no, we don't want to live under your lordship. We want the king and everything. He gave them their ways, and it led to destruction of their kingdom. The kingdom of Israel was divided after the 3rd king. Only three kings, and it was divided. So we sit here and talk about God's chosen candidate, whatever, and there's legitimately people in the body of Christ who believe that President Donald Trump was sent here by God to save and protect the church.
Whew.
We kind of got to look at history and ask ourselves if that's something that God did, or if that's something that we asked God for out of our own foolishness.
I ain't asked God for that.
I surely didn't. I ain't asked for none of this. But
nah, I swear.
Nonetheless,
it's hot outside. It's global warming. Like, it's real, y'all.
It's real. Gas prices is mad high. I was really upset about that today. I had to fill up the tank, and I almost felt like walking instead.
But it's hot. So
what?
You said you was gonna walk. It's hot outside. You're
right.
gonna pass out. Can't
money.
afford the water bottle. On
This
the
is my
side
third shirt today. This is the third shirt I put on. I sweat through the first 2.
That's TMI, guys.
It's everybody sweat.
But you're talking about sweating profusely through shirts.
It's hot.
2 of them.
2 of them. Yeah, it's real hot.
Okay.
Don't sit there and judge me with those judgy eyes and that judgy tone in your voice.
I'm definitely judging.
Only God can judge me.
That's not true. I'm judging you
That's
right now.
not true. I want to. Hey, if you listen to this, please don't ever mutter that nonsense another day. And you're like, only God can judge me. That's show me where that's at in the Bible.
Lots of people can judge you,
Yeah.
but it depends if you want.
Matter of fact,
it matters to you.
if you call yourself a believer in Jesus Christ, it is your job not to judge, but to hold accountable other people who call themselves believers in Jesus Christ. So you got to really be careful with that whole only God can judge me thing. Only God's judgment matters, but at the end of the day, it's a whole lot of other people who definitely got a right to an opinion, and you got to believe that for sure.
Wait, they have a right to an opinion? How?
What you mean a right to an opinion? You have a right to an opinion. Your opinion don't necessarily mean something, but you can have it.
The way you said it, it's like their opinion, they were able to have an opinion, and it mattered in your life, because it don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it mattered. Your opinion matters to me.
Your opinion matters to me, because you fine.
Okay, guys. So I think we're gonna wrap this up because it's been heavy today. Heavy.
Don't cut me off. I'm talking about how fine my wife is. Stop. I appreciate you. You didn't hit me that time. You tickled me in the armpit.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, man, that happened. One of your kids is trying to break in this room right
So
now.
y'all, episode 7.
Episode 7, all the way in the books, man.
That's a wrap.
And no, it's not a wrap. Hold on.
Sorry.
It's about to be a wrap. It's about to be a wrap. But what we got into today, we talked about spoiling kids. We talked about our opinions, and we brought it right back to the word. We looked at how the people chose the king in the first place, and what we really got to look at, y'all. What we really got to consider is how much of our own desires, how much of what we place importance on is really the cause of our own demise. How much of our detriment can be attributed to what we decided to act on our own. And I think that's a really interesting. Hold on, you about to stop me right there.
I was gonna say, like, people put a lot, like, they make a lot of little GODs in their life.
Yeah, you got a lot of little GODs. And then it's funny because people act like the big GOD is a tyrant. Like, oh man, God was like wilding out in the Bible. He poured out his wrath and all this stuff. But if
he tolerated a lot.
He did. And the funny thing is, I asked somebody this the other day, could God be perfect if he were not just? And if God is just, then can he really let a lot of these things go unpunished? Like, if somebody go out there and stomp out your cousin, you want justice for your cousin. You want the person who did the stomping to get what they got coming to them in your mind. But somehow, some way, when God does the same thing, we act like, oh, he wilding out. And we really have to consider that when we make all of these choices, we put ourselves in these situations because at the end of the day, we all spoiled. Because God gave us free will. And if you use your free will the wrong way, you're going to end up like a spoiled brat. It's like one of them kids you see acting out at the airport, wherever you at, kids don't know how to act and they're not listening to the parent. That's us. When it comes to our relationship with God, sometimes we really got to be cognizant of that.
Move on, Sway.
Yeah,
don't be talking about kids acting up, because one of my kids not acting right.
Jesus, man. So yo, if you got some thoughts on this, you got something that we said that you don't agree with, something that you want us to elaborate on, please hit us up. We on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook at RFX Movement. You can email us at info@rfxmovement.com. Find us wherever you at, man. We want to hear from y'all. We appreciate all of the love. We appreciate y'all listening. We appreciate you tuning in wherever you at. SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play. Matter of fact, we on YouTube now. Appreciate all of that. Please remember to like and subscribe. Go ahead and share this real quick. So a real movement we got going on here. Shout out to UMR Radio for working with us. Thanks for the love. We love y'all right
What's
back.
Kiki, do you love
Why
me?
are you still doing that? No.
Public service announcement. I heard people are getting hurt doing the Kiki challenge. I should stop.
Yeah, you should start it right now. Don't sing that on this podcast no more.
I think we out. Oh, you need to pray. Father God, thank you for this time, this opportunity that we have to spend together, to talk about things that's been going on, and to just listen to your word and be able to think about it and examine ourselves. And we love you. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, thank all of y'all for rocking with us. We love all of y'all. There ain't nothing you can do about it. Join us right back here, same back time, same back channel for the i-eXam. Love y'all.